welcome everyone. We are REM5. My name is Amir and I'm the co-founder and CEO of REM5. We started the company back in 2017, and really it was a function of me and some friends and colleagues experiencing the technology and really becoming obsessed with the use cases and having to get involved in the industry in some way, shape, or form. And we'll talk about how we accomplish that here in a few moments.
And I'm Meg Noakes. I joined REM5 shortly before our grand opening, and now am a manager here and work with our education outreach as well.
And Meg didn't want to include it in her bio, but she is an exceptional Beat Saber player, enthusiast, if you will.
I'm an enthusiast.
Well, our hope for today is to really demystify immersive technology. It can be a very confusing thing. The industry does a really good job at one thing, and that's throwing around new acronyms every 6 months in terms of how to define this tech and how to use it. So we're hopefully going to break it down today and demystify some of the tech, what it is, the differences between the technology, and then also highlight some powerful use cases for VR. And then one of the last things we're going to talk about today is how COVID has accelerated the adoption of a lot of these technologies. And as part of that, we've developed this WebXR platform. And so for those that are watching right now, if you want to snap a picture with your phone of the bottom portion of the agenda there, we're going to be meeting in one of our virtual spaces that's accessible on your desktop through a web browser shortly after this session, if you want to break from video chat. So with that, I will jump in. So VR, we joke around about this all the time here. VR has been the next big thing for the last 100 years. The stereoscope dates all the way back to 1832, and really the concept of putting two images in front of your eyes, one of them tilted a little bit or a different perspective, tricking your mind into seeing a three-dimensional object. That concept is far from new. Back in, fast forward to 1939, you have the ViewMaster, which we view as really the first mass market VR device. If you think about it, if you look back at advertisements for the ViewMaster in the 40s, they talk about and pitch VR really in the same way that we are today. It's going to change travel. It's going to disrupt education, mental health, all of these things, which is comical to look back on it now. But here we are in 2020, basically saying the same thing about the tech that we're utilizing. Fast forward to 2012, you have the latest wave of VR with the launch of Oculus, and their Kickstarter started in 2012. And really, all we're doing is we're taking the ViewMaster and digitizing it. And finally, in 2012, the computing power had finally caught up to what the aspirations of VR really was. So with that Kickstarter in 2012, Facebook actually bought Oculus in 2014, and then they released their first product in 2016. So as Meg and I talk about VR and the different use cases, we're really focused on this latest era, which started in 2016, which is not that long ago, which is kind of wild to think about. So why VR? Why are we so passionate about VR? Why do we get so excited about VR as a platform? We really look at the medium through these two lenses. One is VR can democratize experiences. So you can visit the White House. You can ride along on the Apollo 11 mission. You can experience what it's like to be a woman in a business meeting. A lot of these very, very nuanced things can be brought to life through this tool. And the second lens that we look through is human connection, which couldn't be more relevant today. All us sitting here on a video chat when a year ago we were doing this in person. So VR and the ability to put you into an environment and have a sense of presence opens up a ton of new doors in terms of how you can utilize this tool. So if you combine those and you think about the concept of experiential learning, traditional methods are a challenge or have challenges, especially when you focus on a time like today when we're in a pandemic. So traditional methods can have a lack of scalability. There's bias and unconscious bias in the system. There's a lack of consistent data. There's mental safety, physical safety considerations, and then also just in a world that's becoming more and more challenging to engage your users or stakeholders, it's challenging to engage. So we look at VR as a tool that can help solve some of these problems. So VR is scalable. There's no bias. When you're in an experience, I know exactly where you're looking, how long you're looking, what decisions you're making, all of those things, and it's tangible data. And it's really the ultimate safe space. So if you think about kind of even stepping back even further, why does a flight simulator make sense? Why does the concept of a flight simulator make sense? Well, real planes are really expensive. It's really dangerous to fly one for your first time. There's a lot of bias in terms of the training and how that's done. Doing that in VR eliminates all of those things. And we think that VR is now has the same characteristics of a flight simulator, but can be applied to a variety of different everyday objectives. So we quite literally are drinking the Kool-Aid here at REM5 and really passionately believe that VR is going to change the way that we work, learn, play, and socialize, which is a bold statement, sounds a little wild and crazy, but if you back up just a few years, and if I would have said the same thing about your smartphone, that also is a pretty eye-opening statement at that point in time. Now, fast forward to today in 2020, our smartphone has a profound impact on the way we work, learn, play, and socialize. So we believe that VR is the next computing platform after mobile. And in terms of where we're at, kind of on that timeline, really high level, we're still really early. We're still pre-iPhone, if you will. So we got a ways to go.
Yeah, and when we get into this world of VR, we have all sorts of terminology that gets thrown around. So Immersive Tech has different flavors. So we've got full virtual reality, there's augmented reality, and mixed reality. So primarily at REM5, we have full VR, which is where you're putting on these goggles and you're taken into a world that is digitally created and everything around you is virtual. And you're able to, you have controllers in your hands and you're able to interact with this environment. When we talk about augmented reality, you're basically taking the real world and putting a digitally created thing on top of it. So for example, there's like if you are online shopping, maybe at IKEA, and you're in your house on your phone and you want to see this couch that you're looking at in your living room, you're able to augmented reality that and put that couch in your living room and see how it would look without actually having to go to the store, get the couch, and put it in your living room. And we've got mixed reality, which this is where you are mixing those two together, basically. So you have virtual reality, and I have an example. So if you're in VR and you're taking a real life physical object, like this hockey stick, for example, this has a tracker on it. So you take this hockey stick, put on your virtual reality headset, and you are mixing virtual reality and physical reality together. So you are using this actual hockey stick when you're in VR as a way to enhance that experience for you. It's pretty sweet.
Very cool.
And with VR, there is a pretty wide range of types of headsets, the differences between those headsets. And with that, you know, there's a range of accessibility, price points, and just overall quality of the headsets. So this is the Google Cardboard. So on the range of it, this is really accessible. It's basically this piece of cardboard, and you're able to put your phone inside. And there are these little goggles here. So this is really great for, you put your phone inside, if you want to watch a 360 video, like on YouTube, Facebook, they have these 360 videos that you can just watch right on your phone. So in the scheme of it, super accessible, pretty cheap on the spectrum. Taking a step up from that, we've got the Oculus Go. So this is a standalone device, and it has what we call 3 degrees of freedom. So with that, this is an untethered headset where you're able to see totally in 360. It's virtual reality. You're able to look right and left, up and down, and tilting as well. So with this headset, you're not actually able to move around in your experience. It's, you know, it's seated, but this is really great for watching 360 videos in a three-dimensional environment. And one more up from that, we've got the Oculus Quest. So this is kind of in the middle of the spectrum. It's another standalone device where instead of having 3 degrees of freedom like the Go, the Quest actually has 6. So you still have that ability to look right, left, up, down, tilt, but now you're actually able to move around your virtual environment and you have controllers, you're able to interact with that world as well. What's really great about this one is it's untethered. You don't need, you know, a big computer to run this headset. So with that, it makes it more accessible to the user. It has little cameras on the front of the headset that actually look around the room and use that to build the virtual space around you. With it not being tethered to a computer, you kind of sacrifice the overall quality of the virtual space, but I mean, it's really sweet, the ability just to be untethered and kind of free roam with this headset. We use these a lot here at REM5, really great. And like I said, right in the kind of middle of that spectrum, could probably pick one up from Best Buy. They still have them. All right, and then primarily at REM5, we have these. This is the HTC Vive Pro. This is another 6 degrees of freedom headset. With this one, it is tethered to a desktop computer. So you are still able to fully interact with your virtual environment. There's options for this to be a wireless headset, but at REM5, we primarily have them connected to our desktops. But this, out of all the headsets, does have the best overall quality of your view digitally, as well as you know, this is on the opposite, the end of the spectrum, where you are paying a little bit more for the HTC Vive, but overall quality, this is definitely the best.
Cool. And just to add there, I mean, these range in price from that Google Cardboard is, I don't know what, $10 Meg or something like that.
Yeah.
All the way up to an HTC Vive Pro. When you have a computer and all the accessories, I mean, you end up at, you can spend $5,000 pretty quickly on one setup. And there's pros and cons to all these headsets, as Meg outlined. We at REM5, which we'll talk about in a little bit on some of our operations, we view them as like you know, it's like your set of golf clubs or a set of knives, right? They're different tools and they work better for different situations, whether it's the experience that you're trying to convey or just the sheer logistics of a scenario. And so, you know, although, you know, you would jump to say, all right, the headset on the far right is the best, for certain circumstances, it's not. So REM5. So back to, you know, our just flat out obsession with the power of this tech and really believing back to those concepts of democratizing experiences paired with experiential learning and having one of the most powerful tools that exists. As we looked at the industry, we realized that most people don't think about this tech that way. They also don't know it exists in many cases. And if they do, they think about it just for kids or gamers or makes me sick. So we get that a lot, right? Unfortunately. So we do a lot of missionary work in the immersive tech space. And so we knew, for better or for worse, that we needed to have a physical site to solve the accessibility and understanding gap. So we started I'm standing at the front desk of our physical location. We have 8,000 square feet in St. Louis Park at REM5 VR Lab, and we're outfitted with the world's most high-end VR. We have, I think we run maybe, I don't know, 70 headsets now, Meg? We have a lot.
We do.
Headsets. Of all different types that we use for different situations. And really on nights and weekends, we said, let's get more forward thinkers, let's get more people into headsets. And the best way to do that is with pizza and beer, because people understand those things. So we host a lot of, well, this time of year, during a pandemic, we don't host a lot of corporate events. Pre-COVID, we host a lot of corporate events, team building, think of like a Topgolf, but with high-end VR. And then during the day, we're focused on all these other initiatives in terms of using VR for more impactful and educational use cases. We also have a consulting business where, let's say somebody comes in for a kid's birthday party, we get them into a VR headset and they say, wow, this is way more immersive and further along than I had anticipated, or than when I tried it and had this kind of lukewarm or bad experience 3 years ago. Help me think about how to use this and integrate it into my business or organization. And so that kind of evolved into a consulting business. And then lastly, we started our own studio about a year ago because we saw a lot of needs in the market for content, and the content didn't exist yet. So think of your iPhone is, and I use an iPhone as an example because that's what I have, but your smartphone, if the App Store was empty, or even back in the early days of smartphone, it really didn't have near the impact that it does today. And that's because of the software and the content. And it takes time to evolve and really let users and developers and programmers figure out what the best use for this tech is. And we're still really, really early. So the App Store, for better or for worse, the apps that exist globally in VR, there's a lot of shooting zombies and spacecrafts, and way less of let's use VR to make the world a better place. And so we're really focused on creating content in that space, which leads me to this slide. So our mission and our core value is using immersive technology for good. So since we opened in 2017, we've had probably, including our entertainment business, we've probably had about 20,000 people through here. Which is pretty amazing. You know, if I would have told you in 2017 we were going to show VR to 20,000 people in the next 2 years, I wouldn't have believed you. So that's really exciting. Really, that we get to share our joy and passion for this technology every day. And Meg can attest to this. The feeling of showing somebody VR for the first time never gets old, which is really cool to say. So we've used VR for all different use cases, whether it ranges from K through 12 education, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Art, we've hosted some of the world's most innovative art tech events at REM5, which is really cool, getting artists to create in a 3D environment. Some of the cultural competence work I'll talk about in a little bit. Working with seniors has been a really fun and rewarding use case for VR, whether it's swimming with dolphins under the ocean, or touring the White House. And then sensory friendly work, which Meg spends a lot of time on, is another one of those kind of subdivisions of our education business where neurodiverse individuals do really well with technology in many cases, and it creates a safe space for social engagement, which is pretty cool. So today we're gonna highlight education and cultural competence.
Yes, so at REM5, we host a lot of students get to come into REM5 and use our tech as an immersive platform for learning. So that's something that we actually do here at REM5, and we're also able to take that into the classroom. So with VR in education, it is something that totally enhances the classroom. And it's something where you can, transport anywhere. And by anywhere, I mean, you can even go like into space is one that's really sweet for education, where, while you're learning about this thing, you are literally in, a planetarium, or literally in space, in a black hole, on a rocket ship. It's something where you're totally immersed in this. And when kids are in the headsets, it's something where they're totally in that environment. They can't be distracted by other things that are going on. So it just is really a powerful tool to totally change the environment around them. As well as education with VR provides equitable access to these experiences. for example, you can, with being able to go literally anywhere, you could even like go into the White House, there's a Google Earth as a program for VR as well, where you're literally able to go anywhere without having to have you know, having to go there your actual self. You're able to sit in your desk, in your classroom, and you're able to go to these places without having to travel there. And at REM5, we also have some work with industrial design, and that kind of gives us the option to prepare and inspire the next generation and gives them wheels to start thinking about things in the future. And some pictures on the slide too of some students in VR where we're in the classroom and at REM5 as well.
Cool, thanks, Meg. I'm just looking at the clock. You were supposed to yell at me earlier when I was talking for too long and you didn't. So
yes, I see that.
You're 10% responsible for this. I'll take 90%. So really quickly, so cultural competence and emotional intelligence is an area that we're really excited about and spent a lot of time the last couple of years. We've worked with about 3,000 individuals to date, which is a big number for VR, small number for actually making a dent in the work that needs to be done for social justice. And so think about the concept of walking a mile in somebody else's shoes. Think about bringing people into spaces that are uncomfortable, but doing them in a safe way. Think about putting people in simulations that feel real, where your palms get sweaty and your heart rate goes up, and it's a safe space. It's a safe, controllable space where we can start to look at things like unconscious bias. So there's a lot there. We're just scratching the surface in terms of what we've done to date. We most recently, we've rolled out an experience called Steps of Privilege, where it's a fully interactive VR experience where the user in the safe space of VR explores the nuances of their own privilege. And the one thing I want to make clear with both the cultural competence work and the education work that Meg was talking about, we don't view VR holistically as the solution. It's just a tool, right? It's a storytelling tool. It's an experience giving tool. And a lot of the real work happens when the headset comes off through group discussions and worksheets and in a 1 hour workshop, whether it's education or cultural competence, VR is probably only 20 to 30 minutes of that entire experience. It just kind of depends. So here's some, right before COVID hit, we actually worked with Cargill and put 800 people through one of our cultural competence experiences for their global innovation, global equity, global day of inclusion, sorry. Data, it's still early, but punchline is the data is good in terms of using VR to drive emotional connection to these stories. And then lastly, I'll end on, given COVID, we've spent a lot of time working on a virtual solution that's accessible in VR and also on desktop, right through your web browser, just like we're on this call today. And it's a tool called WebXR. You can learn more about it on our website, rem5forgood.com. If you want to, today, we hosted a Twin Cities startup event all in the VR space last night. I actually gave a similar presentation while in VR, which was pretty on brand, and actually the tech worked, which was kind of cool. So if you want to screenshot this or take a picture, you can go to rem5forgood.com/onboarding to get some instructions on how to use it. And then if you go to virtualrem5.link, punch in that link, Meg will actually be chilling in that space, and we can do any further Q&A there. Otherwise, check us out on social media. We're posting a lot about what we're up to here, both on the entertainment side and the For Good side on those channels. And don't be a stranger. We love doing the missionary work for this industry and telling the stories and ultimately collaborating with people in the community that can put this tool to work for good.